I never believed in moments that change everything. Not until that night in November when the sky opened up, and so did I. I was standing outside the Meridian, this pretentious gallery downtown where I'd just bombed my first solo exhibition opening. Not bombed in a dramatic way, more like nobody came. Well, 17 people came, 17 polite acquaintances who circled my paintings with wine glasses, made encouraging sounds, and left within 40 minutes. My hands were still shaking from smiling so hard my face hurt, from pretending it didn't matter that the local art critic never showed, that my parents made excuses, that the guy I'd been seeing texted to cancel an hour before doors opened. The rain started as a whisper, then became a shout. I should have gone back inside, waited it out in the climate-controlled gallery with its track lighting and white walls. But I couldn't face Marcus, the gallery owner, with his sympathetic eyes and carefully worded consolations. So I walked. Just walked into it, letting the rain soak through my blazer, the one I'd bought specifically for tonight, the one that was supposed to make me look like a serious artist instead of a 28-year-old man still figuring out who he was. My phone died somewhere around 5th and Morrison. The rain turned vicious, the kind that stings your skin and makes you question your choices. I ducked under a bus shelter, but it offered almost no protection. The wind drove the rain sideways, and I was shaking so hard my teeth chattered, not just from cold, from everything. The failure, the loneliness, the creeping suspicion that I'd wasted 3 years of my life on paintings nobody wanted to see. That's when he appeared. I didn't hear him approach over the sound of rain hammering the shelter's metal roof. I just suddenly felt this warmth at my back, and then a jacket settled over my shoulders. Not draped, but carefully placed, like whoever was doing it wanted to make sure it actually helped. "You're going to freeze to death," a voice said, deep with this texture to it like honey and gravel mixed together. I turned. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair plastered to his forehead and these eyes that were somehow warm despite being gray. He wore a black t-shirt that clung to him, already soaked through, and jeans that looked like they'd seen better days. His jacket, the one now on my shoulders, was leather and still held his body heat. "You need this more than me," I said, trying to hand it back. My voice shook worse than my hands. "Keep it." He moved closer, not crowding me, just sharing the minimal shelter. "I saw you come out of the Meridian, the gallery, right?" My stomach dropped. "You were there?" "I was walking by, saw people inside. Almost went in, but I looked like this." He gestured at his wet clothes with a half smile. "Didn't think they'd appreciate me dripping on the hardwood." Trust me, they wouldn't have noticed. Pretty sure tumbleweeds could have rolled through and nobody would have cared. The bitterness in my voice surprised me. He studied me for a moment, and I felt seen in a way that made me want to simultaneously run and stay forever. "Your show? What gave it away? The shell-shocked expression, or the fact that I'm standing in a monsoon contemplating my life choices?" "The paint under your fingernails," he said, "and you have this look like you just poured your heart out and nobody caught it." Something in my chest cracked. I tried to laugh it off, but what came out was closer to a sob. I covered it with a cough, turned away, but he'd already heard it, already knew. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey, come here." And then he did something that still, even now, makes my breath catch. He wrapped himself around me. Not a hug, exactly. He stepped in close and folded his arms around my shoulders, tucking my head against his chest, his chin resting on top of my head. His whole body became a shield against the rain, the cold, the crushing weight of disappointment. I should have pulled away. I didn't know this man, but I couldn't. I stood there shaking against him, his heartbeat steady against my ear, and let myself be held. "I'm Ethan," he said into my hair. "Jamie." My voice muffled against his chest. "Jamie, okay. Here's what we're going to do. There's a 24-hour diner 2 blocks from here. We're going to run there. You're going to get warm, and you're going to tell me about your paintings." "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to. Come on." He grabbed my hand, and we ran. His hand was calloused, strong, and he didn't let go even when we had to dodge puddles or navigate around late-night pedestrians. We burst through the diner doors laughing, breathless, absolutely drenched. The waitress, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes, took one look at us and brought towels without being asked. We slid into a corner booth, and Ethan ordered coffee for both of us, plus fries and pie, even though I protested I wasn't hungry. When the coffee came, I wrapped my hands around the mug and felt sensation slowly return to my fingers. "So," Ethan said, leaning back against the cracked vinyl seat, "tell me about tonight. What kind of art do you make?" "Abstract expressionism mostly. Big canvases, lots of color and movement. I'm interested in emotional landscapes, trying to capture feelings that don't have words." I paused. God, that sounds pretentious. "No, it doesn't. It sounds like you care about what you do. That's not pretentious, that's passionate." I looked at him then, really looked. There was a scar through his left eyebrow and another along his jawline. His nose had been broken at least once, but his eyes were gentle, focused entirely on me like I was the only person in the world worth listening to. "Tonight was supposed to be my breakthrough," I admitted. 3 years of work, 24 paintings. I invited everyone I knew, reached out to critics, posted on every social media platform, and almost nobody came. The people who did come were nice, but nobody bought anything. Nobody even asked about prices. "Did you like the work? The paintings themselves?" The question surprised me. Yeah, I loved them. They're some of the best things I've ever created." "Then tonight wasn't a failure. Disappointing maybe, but not a failure. You made something you love. That matters." Easy to say when you're not the one who just humiliated himself in front of the entire local art scene. Ethan smiled, but there was sadness in it. "You think I don't know about humiliation? About putting yourself out there and falling flat?" He traced a finger along the scar on his jaw. "I was a boxer, pretty good one too. Made it to regionals. Thought I was headed for nationals. Got destroyed in the ring. Not just beat, destroyed. Ended my career, ended my relationship, ended pretty much everything I thought I was building. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me something. The humiliation, the failure. It wasn't in losing. It was in believing that one night, one event, defined everything. Took me 2 years to figure out that I wasn't a failure because I lost a fight. I was just a person who had a bad night." The fries arrived, and we ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Outside, the rain continued its assault on the city, but inside the diner felt like a pocket universe, warm and separate from everything else. "What do you do now?" I asked. "If not boxing?" "I'm a carpenter, custom furniture mostly. I like working with my hands, creating things that last. It's not what I planned, but it's good. Honest work." He dipped a fry in ketchup, offered it to me. Without thinking, I took it. "And I go to galleries on rainy nights, apparently. Meet tortured artists who need rescuing." I wasn't that dramatic. "Jamie, you were standing in a storm looking like a Renaissance painting of martyrdom. It was extremely dramatic." I laughed, a real laugh, and it felt like the first genuine thing I'd done all night. "Okay, maybe a little dramatic. Tell me about your favorite painting, the one in the show that means the most to you." I hesitated. This was the kind of question that usually made me shut down, too vulnerable, too revealing. But something about Ethan, about the way he'd wrapped himself around me in the rain without asking for anything in return, made me want to answer. "There's one called The Space Between. It's this massive canvas, mostly blues and grays with these gold threads running through it. I painted it after my brother died. He was my best friend. And when he was gone, there was just this void. But also these moments, these golden moments, where I'd remember something he said or the way he laughed, and the void wasn't empty anymore. It was full of him. The painting is about that, about how loss creates space, but love fills it." Ethan's eyes were bright. "I want to see it. The gallery closes at 10. So we'll come back tomorrow, when it's open, when I'm not dripping wet and you're not in shock." He reached across the table, covered my hand with his. "If you want to, I mean, no pressure." His hand on mine felt like an anchor, like gravity. "Why are you being so nice to me? You don't know me." "I don't know. When I saw you standing there in the rain, something just, I don't know. I felt like I needed to make sure you were okay. And then when we started talking, I wanted to keep talking. Is that weird?" "Maybe a little." "Yeah," he smiled. "But good weird, I hope." "Good weird," I confirmed. We stayed in that diner until 3 in the morning. We talked about everything. His childhood in Montana, mine in suburban Connecticut. His coming out story, which involved his boxing coach and a very awkward conversation in a gym locker room. My coming out story, which involved my mom finding my sketchbook full of figure drawings of men and sitting me down for the most uncomfortable yet loving conversation of my life. We talked about favorite movies, books we'd read multiple times, places we wanted to travel, fears we'd never said out loud. At some point, we'd moved to the same side of the booth, sitting close enough that our shoulders touched. His arm rested along the back of the seat, not quite around me, but close enough that I could feel its presence. I should probably get home, I said eventually, though I didn't want to. I'll let you get some sleep. I'll walk you. You don't have to. I know, but I'm going to. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean and smelling of wet asphalt and night-blooming jasmine from someone's garden. We walked slowly, taking our time, extending the moment. I still wore his jacket, and he didn't ask for it back. At my apartment building, we stopped. The streetlight cast everything in amber, and I could see water droplets still clinging to his hair. Thank you, I said. For tonight. For the coffee and the conversation and the rescue. Thank you for letting me rescue you. He paused. Can I see you again? Tomorrow to see your painting? Yeah, I'd like that. Good. He smiled and something in my chest expanded. Get some sleep, Jamie. Tonight was just one night. You've got a lot more coming. He started to walk away and I called after him. Ethan, your jacket. Keep it for now. Gives me an excuse to see you again. I watched him disappear into the night, then went upstairs to my apartment. I hung his jacket carefully over a chair and fell into bed still wearing my damp clothes, too tired to change. But I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the night, the feeling of his arms around me, the steadiness of his voice, the way he'd listened like my words mattered. The next day, I met him at the gallery at 2. He showed up in clean jeans and a dark green Henley that made his eyes look more green than gray. His hair was still damp from a shower, and he smelled like cedar and something crisp I couldn't name. Marcus, the gallery owner, was there. He brightened when he saw me. Jamie, I was hoping you'd come by. We got a call this morning. Someone wants to buy the space between. I froze. What? A collector from Seattle. Saw photos online, wants to purchase it. Offering asking price, no negotiation. I looked at Ethan, who was grinning. See? I told you. One night doesn't define anything. We spent an hour in the gallery. I showed Ethan each painting, told him the story behind it, watched his face as he took them in. He didn't offer empty praise. He asked questions, real questions, about technique and intention and what I was trying to communicate. He stood in front of the space between for 10 minutes without speaking, and when he finally turned to me, his eyes were wet. Your brother would be proud of you, he said simply. Something in me broke open. I'd been holding myself together for so long, being strong, being professional, being the artist who had it all figured out. But standing there with Ethan, I didn't have to pretend. I let the tears come, and he pulled me close, right there in the middle of the gallery with Marcus pretending not to notice. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you. That was 6 months ago. 6 months of mornings waking up to find Ethan in my kitchen making coffee, of evenings in his workshop watching him sand wood until it was smooth as silk, of nights tangled together talking about everything and nothing. 6 months of learning that love isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's someone wrapping themselves around you in the rain and refusing to let you face the storm alone. We're at another gallery opening now, this one in Seattle for a group show. My painting sold to that collector, which led to more interest, which led to this. Ethan's hand is warm in mine as we walk through the space, and I'm not nervous anymore. Not like I was that night. Because I learned something. Ethan taught me something. It doesn't matter if 17 people come or 70 or 700. What matters is that I keep making the work, keep putting myself out there, keep being brave enough to be vulnerable. And it helps. It really helps to have someone who sees you at your lowest and doesn't walk away. Someone who instead wraps themselves around you and holds on. You okay? Ethan asks, squeezing my hand. Yeah, I say, and I mean it. I'm really okay. Tonight, 43 people come to the opening. I sell 2 paintings, but more than that, I spend the evening with Ethan by my side, his presence a steady reminder that I'm not alone, that I never have to be alone again. Later, after the gallery closes, we walk through Seattle's streets. It starts to rain, just a light drizzle, and Ethan pulls me close. "Remember the last time we were in the rain?" he asks. "How could I forget? You saved me." "No," he says, tipping my chin up so I'm looking into his eyes. "We saved each other. You just didn't know it yet." He kisses me there in the rain, soft and sweet and full of promise. And I think about that night in November, about how I thought my life was ending when really it was just beginning, about how sometimes the worst nights lead to the best mornings, about how being found when you're lost is its own kind of miracle. "I love you," I say against his lips. "I love you too, Jamie. So much." We stand there wrapped around each other as the rain falls, and I'm not shaking anymore. I'm steady. I'm home. And it all started because a stranger saw me falling apart and decided I was worth catching. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person who sees you, really sees you, and decides you're worth the effort, worth the rain, worth wrapping themselves around you and holding on until you remember how to stand on your own, and then staying anyway, not because you need them to, but because they want to. Because love isn't about need, it's about choice. It's about choosing each other, over and over, through storms and sunshine and everything in between. That's what Ethan taught me that night in the rain. That's what he teaches me every day. And I'm so grateful, so incredibly grateful that I was falling apart outside that gallery, that the rain came, that he found me. Because being found by the right person doesn't just change a moment. It changes everything.